All right, so here's the question. Marketing budgets and consistency. Marketing budget and consistency. I get asked that all the time when it comes to what should my marketing budget be and how do I create consistency? Now, this question comes from people that are brand new, and this question comes from people that are highly experienced. They're doing millions of dollars a year in revenue and trying to establish what type of marketing budget and what type of, how do you create a consistency in your business? All right, so let's talk about it. So when it comes to marketing budget, you can go either 15 to 25% of your gross revenue, 15 to 25% of your gross revenue. So 15 to 25% of your gross revenue, 15% is a little more conservative, 25% is more aggressive. And if you go 25%, you can scale up fairly quickly to significantly, you can get up to $50,000 a month consistently when you are reinvesting back in, driving for dollars around San Diego today. What's up? Awesome. Well, here's the thing, Ryan. If you understand what we're talking about right now and marketing budget and consistency, then your driving for dollars will only happen when you're going on appointments with sellers, right? And you're doing your what's called your pre-appointment intelligence. So that is important. So anyway, so we're talking about budget. 15% is conservative, 25% is aggressive. And you can scale this up, like I said, really quick. Now, for an example, let's say you get a $10,000 check, just to do new numbers because I don't have my calculator here. So you get a $10,000 check. Well, 15% is $1,500. 25% is $2,500. Well, $2,500, you can do significantly more with $2,500, right? You can put, $1,000, $1,200 into, marketing and put the other half into Google Adwords and the other half into, say, RVM. And you can get different channels of leads that are coming into your business and with a blended low cost per lead. So I highly suggest, think about it. You're in your business, you want to grow it, you want to scale it, you want to get out of your job, you want to, quit, you want to go full time, you want to go bananas at it, then take 15% or 25%, put it back in the marketing, right? And when you take that 25%, put it back in the marketing, what we want to do now is to create consistency. We want to batch our marketing to the point where, so we batch it out. So what we do is we pull, we'll pull a larger list. And, large for some people is 15, 20,000. For other people, it's 100,000 lists. So let's say theoretically, we're just going to talk about a 15,000 person list. So in a 15,000 person list, right, we can take that and we can batch it out, 15,000. Over 5 weeks, we can do 3,000 mailers a week. So if you do, hey, thanks for the hearts, guys, appreciate it over there. So if you do you do 15,000 letters over 5 weeks, you do 3,000 mailers a week. You batch it out. So what you're doing with the mail company is you're giving them the list of 5,000. You're giving them essentially a credit card. And what you're doing is saying, I want you to drop this mail piece over the next 5 weeks, and I want you to drop it every Monday. So what we do is we have our mail drop on Monday every single week. We have a Monday morning meeting. So it hits the inboxes or the mailboxes of sellers on Tuesday and Wednesday of the week. Hey, what's up, So that creates a consistency, and we're just talking about direct mail now. And I'm going to talk about budget as you're scaling, and then what happens is you get swings in your income as you start scaling and as you start growing, which we'll talk about how to create, when you have those swings, how do you create a consistency with a budget. So with direct mail, you pull a large list. If you're going to mail essentially In our case, 15,000, we're going to mail 3,000 a week. I'm using this as an example. 3,000 a week. You can just mail 3,000 a week. You batch it out over a 5-week period, and you just let it roll, and then you track your results. Now, remember, you are mailing a list 6 times. You're going to mail that list 6 times, right? So you just don't go through the list, and go, oh, that's it. That's it. What happens is you change the mail piece, and then you rerun another 5 weeks, 3,000 a week, right? The only lists that you modify and change are distress lists, because the distress list, there's always stuff going on. What's up? What's up? Real estate deal maker. I like that. That tag there. So anyway, so for budget and consistency in marketing, the only list you're going to continue to change on a monthly basis is the distress list, because the distress list, there's always things that are coming off. A foreclosure is going to come off record, a new foreclosure is going to come on, a vacant property is going to become occupied, and now you're going to have a new vacant property. So distress list you pull every month. Now for direct mail, that's what you want to target. You want to target pre-foreclosure out of the gate. You want to target vacant out of the gate. You want to target tax default out of the gate. You want to target probate or inherited properties out of the gate. You don't even want to move into absentee owner and move into owner occupants until you are consistently every single month hitting all of the distressed properties in your niche, in your market right there. So now that you're hitting, all those properties, you're hitting them every single month, you're going to pull a brand new list and you're going to mail it. Now, when you come to absentee owner and owner occupants, then you can pull the list one time and mail it 6 times, and you're going to change up the letter. So you pull a list every month, you give it to the mail company, and you batch it out over that 4-week period, right? So that's that when it comes to consistency. Now with Google Adwords, you can set up your Google Adwords, and as whatever you allocate for your budget, let's call it $500 a month, you can say, okay, I want to do X amount a day. Let's call it $10. Let's call it $25 a day for that term of a 30-day period. So whatever $500 divided by 30 is, probably like 10, 15 bucks a day. Let it run 15 bucks a day, and it will spend that. It'll fluctuate from 25 to 12 to 15 to 17 or whatever. But what happens is you'll be on target to your $500 a month if you're doing Google AdWords. Now, if you're doing RVM, what we do is we just set up, we get a large list, we import the list in the RVM, and then we'll drop anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 drops a day for RVM. We'll clear out all those messages daily and call back all the messages of sellers who actually want to sell their house and book appointments with them, of course. So that's how we create a consistency. Cold calling the same way. And I can tell you honestly, in my business, I am the bottleneck. I'm the bottleneck in the business. If it's up to me, I got so much stuff going on. If I don't assign a task to someone to get it done, then it's not going to get done. The problem, because I got 100 different things I'm working on. That it's hard for me to sit down. I'd rather sit down, pull a list, train someone to do it, and then be able to reiterate or iterate from that and modify and change and get someone that they're able to pull a list every single week and every single month, pulling distressed list, and just have it done, and I don't have to worry about it myself. So that is consistency. Batching your marketing, setting budgets, letting it run, and then creating that consistency. Now, remember, 25% is aggressive that you're going to put back into marketing. Now, what happens if, and here's what happens all the time in the business. What happens is you get a rockin' week, right? You get a big week or a big month. So you close 3 deals and you make, say, $40,000 for the month, right? So you're talking about 25%. So you got 4, you got 8, you got 8, 9, 10. So you got about $10,000 in marketing, right? 40,000, yeah, 20. So you got about $8 or $9 to $10,000 in marketing. And so you do that, you do your $10,000 in marketing for the month. And what happens is you put your money into marketing, and you tend to put it all in at once, right? You put it all in at once. And you go aggressive. Then the next month, or the next couple weeks, you suck, right? You have deals that you sign, you have deals you're gonna close, but then there's title issues on the problem. Then all of a sudden the next month you make $5,000, but you went all in on your marketing. You have leads coming in, you have deals in the pipeline, deals that are working, but the problem is you're now you find yourself short, right? And you're going, what the heck is going on? You know what I mean? I cranked it out, had a smoking month. I did $40,000 in the month, and all of a sudden now, I'm struggling. I only do one deal and I make $5,000, and it was just an assignment deal. I have a bunch of stuff in the pipeline, but they haven't closed yet. So what happens is then you start freaking out and you start recoiling back. So what we do is we establish our direct mail and say, okay, we're gonna send in batch X amount of direct mail, but that's a portion of our overall budget. Then what we do is we throttle the budget with pay-per-click advertising, and we throttle it with, and we can just adjust the budgets on a daily basis. I mean, we can adjust them on a daily, weekly basis. And then we throttle our RVM. We can easily go in and put our targets. Instead of 10,000, we went 7, 5,000, and it will adjust our budget. So how do we establish a budget that, when you have an aggressive month, right? And then all of a sudden you have a sucky month, or you have a great week and then you have a terrible week, right? So, let me see if I can go here. Yeah. This lady's crossing the street as I'm crossing the road here. So, anyway, so the bottom line is that you, when it comes to throttling your marketing, what we do is we take a 4-week running average, right? A 4-week running average, and that becomes our marketing budget. So what if one week you close 0, the next week you close 0, the next week you close 10, and the next week you close 5? You know what I mean? That's a 4-week running average of about $15,000. 25% is going to give you a number. But then the next week you crush it, and you close $40,000 in revenue, $50,000 in revenue, but if you go all in on the 25%, you put 10, 12 grand back in the marketing, then the next 3 weeks you close 0. And this happens, by the way, I'm telling you, it happens as part of the business. I don't know why it happens, but it's funny because you have a smoking month. We crush it. Then all of a sudden we go all in on marketing because of that month, and all of a sudden then we have we're like starving the next month because for whatever reason we have a bunch of deals that we're working on, but they just have titles. Something happens. So what we want to do is take basically a snapshot of time, and what we do is average out the revenue over a 4-week period, and it will give us, and it's a rolling 4-week average. So if you have 0, 0, 0, 5, it's going to reduce. It's going to bring down that average when it comes to marketing. Now remember, your direct mail is consistent, but your pay-per-click advertising you throttle, and that's how you throttle the budget. And then your RVM you can throttle with that as well. Cold calling you can throttle to a certain sense as well by limiting the amount of hours you guys are working and stuff like that. But that's difficult because now you get employees that are cold calling. It's a little bit different for like RVM or pay-per-click advertising. Is a lot easier to throttle those because all you just gotta do is press a button. So anyway, so the bottom line is when it comes to marketing and budget and consistency, that is what we have found to be the most successful way to create a consistency in your business. I can tell you the biggest, if looking back on 2018 and talking to people, their biggest issue is consistency, right? When they look back and you look back at your income and you look back at 2018 and you want to reflect back at your numbers, especially if you've tracked or if you've been doing the business for a while, you're doing 15, 20, 30 deals a year and you're looking back. If you'll look back and you're going to kind of reflect on what happened in 2018, you'll find that the biggest reason of this income going up and down is the lack of consistency. So you have to establish, as the owner of the company, as the CEO, the person, you have to establish, say, hey, listen, I've got to create a consistency, and you batch the direct mail, right? And then you throttle that, and then you create a consistent marketing budget going across the board by taking 25% into a rolling average, over a 4-week period. And that is going to, instead of having spikes in your marketing budget like this, it's going to have a flow up like this, and then it's going to flow down, it's going to flow up. But what happens, you're going to find yourself, where you're not in a situation where one month you make 100 grand and the next month you make, 10 grand, and you're not freaking out because you're starving for the month, right? Which you don't want to do. So who had a question? So every week you should budget a certain amount of dollars out of your marketing budget. Yeah. So, but remember, you're taking a 4-week rolling average, right? So for some weeks, and we track obviously our whole business. We track the amount of leads we get. We track about how much we spent. We track around how many appointments we went on, how many offers we made, how many deals we got, right? And I know what future revenues, what's closing for the week, what closed last week for revenue. So you're taking the previous week's revenue. So we have our Monday morning meeting and we report on Monday, right? So when we report on that Monday, we're looking at revenue that happened for the previous week, and we're going to take 25% of that revenue, gross revenue from the previous week, and that's going to establish a marketing budget blended over a 4-week average. So if we have a crushing week, we do 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand for the week, great, right? And then the week before we did 20,000. The week before that, we did, like for an example, if you look at, we did like 21,000, then 30,000, then 14,000, right? So it's kind of fluctuating like that. But if I take the high number and I establish a marketing budget, it's going to blow it out. So to answer your question about the marketing budget every week, we take that number, it's established and rolled out, and you take an average of your 4 weeks to determine that marketing budget you're looking at right there. So what happened with the appointment yesterday that you did an IG live on? Okay, so this is the appointment with the pre-foreclosure that was not the decision maker, right? So this is a pre-foreclosure house. House was worth about 185 to 305 roughly. All fixed up, great neighborhood, and I offered this was one with a seller financing. So he wasn't the decision maker, she was the decision maker, she wasn't there, right? So I am following up. Now, if you got to join us on the webinar that's coming up tomorrow. Make sure you just hit the link in my bio after we're done here. And you got to join the webinar we're doing on tomorrow night. I'm going to talk about leads, budgets, consistency, all that type of stuff, kind of more in detail on the webinar. But also I'm going to talk about a new app that we are using that is awesome, and I'm using it with my sales team right now, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to explain that and how it works and what we're doing. It's literally like a pipeline app, which is pretty cool. You can see all the pipeline and the deals that you want and stuff like that. So I'll be talking about that. So make sure you hit the link in my bio. Make sure you register for tomorrow night. It's going to be sick. What makes you a great leader and how do you develop that? Because I do it. You know what I mean? I'm not, I'm like yesterday, for an example, I went in and we had my lead managers were there, and they had this lady with a situation that they couldn't determine if it was a hot deal, if it was super hot or whatever. So I said, give me the phone number. I got on the phone. I talked to her on the phone. Everyone's standing around me as I'm sitting there talking to the seller on the phone, kind of giving the information. And after they got off the phone, they're like, oh my God, gosh, I mean, just listening to you talk to sellers is just, it gives us an idea of how we should do it. So, or I'll just, I'm going on an appointment. I'll bring someone, someone with me, one of the sales guys with me. I'll bring them through the appointment. I'll show them what to do before the appointment, how to prepare their file, how to meet with a seller, how to read the personality, how to do the comps, how to, do the comp repair sheet, how to do the presentation, how to overcome objections, how to close the gap, how to box the objection, how to get the contract signed, how to use the closing question. So I do, guys, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been to thousands of houses, met thousands of sellers, and you start to get a knack and really be able to understand, and I think I've talked about this in other Instagram lives, but this is a people business. This is not a house business. You're not in a real estate business. You're in a people business. So essentially becoming a leader is just being able to step out and do what you're telling. It's a lot easier to it's more effective to show someone, right, by picking up the phone. We're in our Monday morning meetings, right, and one of the guys can't close the deal on the thing. I said, great, give him the number. I'll sit there and dial it, put him on speakerphone, and I'm sitting there talking. Our whole Monday morning meetings around, I'm sitting there talking to the seller on the phone, negotiating, see if I can get the deal, to try to get the deal done right there on the phone in front of everybody. I'm not afraid to do it, or go on an appointment, or do whatever it takes. So just be the leader, do the business, understand the business, crush the business, and then as you hire people, guess what? Be the leader out in front that's getting contracts, getting deals done, and showing them how the business should be run. So cool. Let me see what other question. These people facing pre-foreclosure can be nasty. Well, wouldn't you be? Be empathetic is the best thing I could say. Is be empathetic, but be persistent, right? A lot of people will be pushed off by us. I remember this one house, man. I went there over and over and over and over, and these guys are just like, yeah, stop coming back. And I was like, listen, man, your house is going to sell. It's going to sell, and if you know what, I can help you. Once you come to the realization, I'm going to be your guy, and I want to make sure that when you're ready, I'm there to make it happen. So I appreciate the fact, but once it's off the list, then I'll leave you alone, right? So I understand how they're feeling foreclosure and refuse to sell. Because think about it, man. It's a house they lived in. It's a house they maybe they've got their kids there. They're going to school there. They're dealing with a situation. They don't want to sell, right? That's their absolute last resort, and they're hanging on to the hopes of something. A friend's going to give them a loan. The bank's going to negotiate and come through. What happens? The banks just basically, hold them on the line until the last second, and then they just drop the ball on them, right? And now they're screwed, and they are forced to basically sell and get it done. So, empathy is a very, very powerful thing, and I'm not the best at it, believe me. I'm not. I'm especially with my team, I'm just like, keep my head down, let's go, and I expect everybody to step up to the plate and rock the house at the same intensity that I do, but my wife has been, beating me across the head for, almost 23 years now, actually 22 years, this year is 23, that I got to be empathetic, not only with my daughters, right? I got 2 daughters, not only with people, not only with her. So empathy is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And if you have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you can feel what they feel, and you can relate that, and you can express that, and that comes through incredibly powerful when you walk into a seller's situation and they're about to lose their house. That's a very, very tough thing. How much is a webinar? It's free. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna charge for webinars. It's free. It's gonna be awesome. Free. I had a meeting with a seller yesterday. Owner wanted to sell, but price was too high. Okay, so that's normal. Okay, that's normal. Where a seller, you're gonna go to a house. A seller has an unrealistic view But what it's going to come down to is figuring out how much net they are going to make. So I'll do the math with the seller. I said, okay, hey, I appreciate that. I understand you have your number, but let's figure out how much cash you're going to get in your pocket net to you. So what do you think you can list the property for, right? And they go, I can list it for whatever. Now, some people are completely unrealistic. So I'm going to say, okay, great. I can appreciate that. So you want to list it. What is your basis for listing that property at that price, right? What's your basis for that? Because you have to have it appraised. Number one, you have to have 3 comparable properties that are in similar condition. And honestly, I've looked at the comps around the area, Mr. Seller, and I don't see anything that's even remotely close to that price. So you tell me, because you obviously have an opinion of what you think you can list it for. So what is that, what's that number, and what is the comps you're basing it off, right? And get them to do some homework, right? So I'll pull up Redfin right there. I have maybe my iPad, and I'll pull up Redfin and kind of look at the comps and stuff like that. And what's great, it has all the pictures. So I'm looking around at their house, and then I can see the pictures on Redfin of a property, or Redfin or Zillow, and I can see the pictures of the properties, and they can see a stark contrast difference of what these houses are going for there. So then I'll ask the question. So let me ask you a question. What do you think it would take to get your house up to those standards, those complete renovated standards? And you were throwing out numbers, $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 to get it renovated, right? So now we take their number, then we take the price to renovation, and say, so let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. How much, do you know how much fees it's going to take to basically get your house done? Well, I don't know. I think I got rid of that. It's going to be roughly about anywhere from 8 to 10% fees just to get your house sold. So I'll back out that number. I back out that, and I'll say, okay, here, after all said and done, now you're going to be on the market for roughly 100+ days. So obviously you got holding cost and closing cost, holding cost with holding the house and your mortgage. And I'll sit down and do the math, and bam, we come up to a number. And I said, listen, here's your net number to you. This is assuming, Mr. Seller, you get a full price offer, where statistics show that offers are coming in at about 94% of list price. That's what the numbers are. So let's assume, right, you get a full price offer. Here's what your net number is going to be. And guess what? I'm within $7,000, $10,000 for that number. Are you willing to hold on to it for 3 months? And it's all iffy. This is pie in the sky. Right? It could be a lot less. You could have more repairs on the property. There could be more things that people want, right? So it could be a lot less. And I'm telling you, within $10,000, we can pick a date and we can get this deal done, right? Get this deal done. What do you want to do? And what happens is, now the seller you're talking about, Maximum House Solutions, they want retail, but are you bringing them through the math? Bring them through the math. Now, sometimes the math will show that, hey, they're going to get $50,000 more going retail. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, listen, you know what? You're absolutely right. Your best bet, Mr. Seller, is to go retail. Let me be your backup. If anything happens, if anything goes south, if anything comes up, if you really want to get rid of this, let me be your backup. I'm going to follow up with you, in a week or a month or a month and a half or so. Then you can follow up with them. But sometimes the math, it's going to show they're going to get $50,000, and guess what? Their best bet, and the right thing to do, is say, listen, your best bet is to list the property and sell it. But if you come down and the math is and more times than not, I can tell you, I've been doing this forever. More times than not, you're going to do the math, and the math is you're going to be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 away from their net number in their pocket. And now it becomes, do you want to really take a risk? It could be significantly less than that. What if you get an offer at the 94%, which is the statistical average? Now you're making less than I'm giving you, and you're holding the property, and you got to get the property cleaned up, and you got to get it staged, and you got to make it look pretty, and you got to have people walk through your house. Are you really in a position, Mr. Seller, where you want to do that for the hopes of making an additional $5,000, maybe $10,000? Is that what you want to do? And now guess what? They're going, oh, I never did the math. So now they go, holy cow, start doing the math. So do you start a new wholesaling company should start with a team? Heck no. I had a guy said he said he wanted to pay me $100,000, and he wanted to help me hire all the people. And then he wanted to be able to just manage and run the team. I was like, forget it. You can pay me $1 million. I'm not going to do it just because, it's not smart business, right? You can't. There's so many questions about comps and what to do and how to do it and all this type of stuff, that they need to know to be able to lead other people to success. So I suggest do it yourself. Learn the business, so then when you bring someone on, you can tell them exactly what to do and you know exactly how to do it. So, you want to learn how to flip? Go to Flip2FreedomWebClass.com. I got a whole webinar that you can watch, and I case study 4 successful students that come from all different backgrounds, all different experience levels. We got brand new people getting started making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 checks, and I explain how they did it, what marketing tool they used, everything that they did, what their common denominator is. I break down everything of these 4 brand new rookie real estate investors that don't know anything about flipping and how they go out and become successful. It's one of the most informative, detailed, high-level webinars that you can attend. It's free at Flip2FreedomWebClass.com. Flip2FreedomWebClass.com. Do you think a new wholesaling company should start with it? Yeah, I answered that. I don't see the notification for your bi-weekly Flip2Freedom calls. It should be. It's in our membership site. You should be able to have that. All right, expert wholesaling. I'm getting off right now, and we will, James, I will get on your call. So I got to jump off because I got a call right now with James Hawk. James Hawk's got this new software that we're going to be demoing right now. So I've got to run inside and get on Zoom right now. So, all right, I got to jet, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a fabulous day. I'll get on a little bit later and we'll talk about some more killer stuff.